They say I lean back too much in my
Go ahead
chair.
and lean.
Be
Go
you.
ahead and lean
Be
back.
you, man.
Go ahead and lean back.
Be you.
What are you guys doing with your
Thank
hands?
you, everybody, for being with us here at Gallagher Gymnasium at St. John's College High School for a special edition of the WCAC Spectacular, the Courtside edition. Starting all the way to my right, he's Darren McClinton.
It's good to be here, guys, man. They got some construction going on in here, but it's kind of tight, but we're going to make it do what it does.
Friday DeMatha, Tim Strachan.
Appreciate it. We're just going to blow right by the fact that we all went and shopped at the same place and got the same thing
We're
at different
coordinating.
times.
How we look?
Fresh.
weird?
Fresh. Let
Good
us know.
taste.
Let us know. Director of Freshness, Kevin Ricka.
Ooh, I hope we feel that. We look that way ourselves. I know it's a big-time game because we're right here where the St. John's basketball team used to take the court. With all the construction going on, it's not the same as it once was, but this is right where you get all the butterflies. And I know you're a little bit nervous today because I noticed you had an extra bag of Fritos in here right
See,
before
you
game
planted
time. And you know what? I know
that.
you're a bit of a nervous
Those are
eater before
Ken's
these big
Fritos
games.
from
So,
just about 15
listen,
minutes
keep
ago.
them right there. They'll be good by
See, he's a
halftime.
funny
bud.
guy.
I would
Funny
never.
guy.
These
Props and all.
these very slimming outfits, they're not good. Fritos don't go
No,
with that.
no.
No, you can't be doing Fritos. Hey, listen, guys. Top 20 matchup in the country. We got number 10, PVI Panthers, number 17, St. John's Cadets, two of the best teams in the D.C. area, two of the top teams in the nation. We've been watching them play national schedules. We're going to be joined by Coach Bean. We're going to be joined by Coach Ferrello. These fine young gentlemen are going to do a well-choreographed shimmy shake all the way on the other side of the table. We're going to talk to these guys before this game starts. Let's start over here with Darren McClinton because I want to talk about Glenn Ferrello. We haven't really talked a lot about Glenn Ferrello in the basement, and it's a shame on us because the guy's had one heck of a career, and he's adding chapters to that every season.
He has, Ken. He's coached over 70 Division I players. He's coached 4 guys in the NBA. His teams have shared or won outright the WCAC regular season title each of the last 3 seasons. Over 450 wins while at Paul VI.
Yep.
It is just an incredible resume for a coach that is year in and year out eligible for Coach of the Year, as well as National Coach of the Year.
And
Great job.
And a nice guy. Everyone who talks about Glenn Ferrello talks about he's a gentleman, and it's why parents like to send their kids to his program.
Well, I should know from coaches, hats off again to the Wooten family and Morgan Wooten. But coaches, they mean a lot to the kids, and they spend a lot of time with them. And, parents want them to be with the people that they feel most comfortable with. And Coach Ferrello has proven it time after time that he's going to take care of these kids. He's going to do them right.
And I think it's been proven. The proof is in the pudding with these kids. We've listened to them. We've seen them on Twitter getting interviewed. We've been around them at the gyms. What a bunch of nice kids. You know what I mean? These are kids with 5-star, 4-star tags and all kinds of hype and all. It doesn't matter to these kids. They're still 17, 8-year-old young men, and they've been handling themselves like gentlemen. And that's a tip of the cap to Coach Ferrello as well.
A lot of class. People think there's 2 C's in the WCAC. There ought to be 3. Everyone handles themselves with a lot of class and integrity up and down. Glenn Ferrello, the Paul VI Panthers, we saw him on ESPN about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, taking down LeBron James' family's team.
Sierra Canyon.
And it has been a treat to watch. And we talked about it in the basement, Kevin, about the ways that maybe the announcers made it seem like it was kind of an upset, and it wasn't.
No, but it's been the local flavor. They weren't getting any respect. Everyone was talking about Sierra Canyon. Every story is about Sierra Canyon. Every background, every backdrop. And at one point,
that does happen when you have to be LeBron's son.
Fair enough.
They're going to
get
that kind
of. We
of
don't care about Bronny around here.
No.
I mean, Doug McDaniel saw Bronny check into the game. He gave him a step back right in the grill, essentially, right when he walked in to say, "We're the WCAC, and we came to play a little ball."
We're going to be joined by a coach right now. Why don't you come on over here, Darren? Step on out there. We got Coach Glenn Ferrello is going to be patched in live here to the WCAC Spectacular.
Right on cue too, as we were talking about him.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like we made that. We planned that out.
We did. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't we have?
Go ahead, Darren.
Guys, I'm here with Coach Glenn Ferrello of Paul VI. Coach, you've coached 2 McDonald's All-Americans while at Paul VI. VJ King, if I'm not correct, and now Jeremy Rose. Talk to us a little bit about Jeremy and how he came back from his injury and what's that meant to your program.
Yeah, we're really proud for him, proud of him, and then happy for him because he's had such a challenging last year. And it's always been a dream of his to be able to get this kind of recognition. And he's always been a kid that, he only cares about winning, whatever it takes to win. And I think that has shown out this year. So we're excited to have him back. I think he's back in full force. He's worked really hard, diligently to get back to where he is right now, and we're really excited about his future. And of course, the fact that he got that recognition to represent us in the McDonald's All-American game is quite an accomplishment.
Yes, congratulations again. That young man is headed to Duke University to play for Coach K and the Blue Devils. Now I want to know about, every year you have a national schedule, a very strong schedule that you play. Tell us a little bit about how that prepares you for that stretch run, the WCAC tournament. That's the big thing for you at the second half of the
so
season.
it goes back to my days at Roosevelt, where I always had the mentality, we'll play anybody, anytime, anywhere, just to get our kids the opportunity to get better, and iron sharpens iron. And we carried it over at Paul 6 now. I always kind of kid with my players and the parents that are coming in the program going, hey, do you have any idea what my career record is? And of course they say no, because no one does. No one does. No one cares. So let's play the best that we can. Let's get ourselves prepared for the best conference in the country. And it does. We come out of non-conference and kind of find out a little bit more about ourselves, right? The good and the bad. And you always learn from your losses. And we've taken a couple this year, and I think it's going to prepare us well here from the stretch.
Yeah. Now, speaking about losses, the basketball community, we lost a great one in Coach Morgan Wooten. Tell me, has Coach Wooten had an influence on you, the way you coach, your coaching style, or just tell me a little bit about remembering?
He is everyone in our coaching community. I said it the other day. He's the most impactful coach in the history of sports, and not just for players and all the players that he's impacted, but also all the coaches. He always had an amazing way. One of his many gifts was he always had the right thing to say to anyone. He always made you feel like you were important. I'll tell a quick story about my very first day as a head coach at Eleanor Roosevelt. It was a scrimmage over at DeMatha. We scrimmage them every year, but it was my first year as a head coach. So he walked over and introduced himself, and I said, Coach, what kind of advice would you give a first-year coach with his top 8 players from the year before graduating? And he spent the next 20 minutes giving me ideas. And, of course, he's had so much success. The way he just always kind of approaches, like, well, one year I tried this. And I'm thinking, try? Really? Like, no, it works. And so he actually got to the point where the officials came over and said, it's time to start the scrimmage. And he looked at the clock and put 10 more minutes on the clock. He spent that much more time with me. He didn't have to do that. And I'm one of millions that he spent that kind of time with. And then he also impacted me. One of his players transferred over. I got to get a chance to talk to him the other day. Maurice Carter transferred over to me from DeMatha, and Coach encouraged it and recommended it. And so he's been a very, very big part of my journey. Was one of 2 coaches that I had call over to Paul VI as a recommendation, as a reference. And he was willing to do that for me. So we're all indebted to him in our basketball community. Our hearts go out to the Wooten family, Joe, and their whole family, and the whole DeMatha family as well.
Absolutely. That's Coach Wooten for you. But thanks a lot, Coach.
You got it.
Hey, go get him, Coach. Hey, we got to get that guy down to the basement one of these days. We appreciate having Coach Frill. We will be joined by Coach B, and we'll do another little shimmy. Why don't you come back over here, Darren? I'll take that. I'll tell you what, man.
What a class act.
It's amazing. Every time we get a chance to talk to a coach in the WCAC, it never fails to impress that it's just genuine. It's a genuine article every single time.
It's a fact that every man and woman involved at a coaching position does their little part to be a contributing factor to why this league is amazing, and they do it in their own style. It's interesting to see each one of them and how they go about it. All of them are top-notch class act, perfect role models for the young men and women of the league.
Let's talk a little bit about the players that he's got going for him today before we switch over to St. John's and Coach Bean and the cadet program. I mean, listen, you're talking about a backcourt that's probably second to none in the country.
Best backcourt in the nation.
Let's talk.
I think it's hands down, especially if you can include all 5 of them. Yes.
Exactly. The guy who played for Jeremy Roach last season, who just so now is just another luxury. It's kind of unfair. Maybe it should be illegal. Trevor Keels, Jeremy Roach, worth the price of admission every single time. By the way, First Amendment Sports, no price for admission. We appreciate you guys giving us a subscription and watching this stuff free. Jeremy Roach, going to Duke, putting it on the floor every single night. talk a little bit about let's talk a little bit about his game. I'd like to ask you. You had a similar injury. I'm sure your games were very similar. You and Jeremy Roach probably mirror images of them. I'm guessing.
If you're going to say it, I'm not going to argue with you, but you're not going to hear me saying
he's going
any
to
of
love
that.
the fact that you said that.
But I will say this: both having a football background is kind of why I love his game. It's not the overall dominance on the court with the lightning quicks, the handle, the ability to finish with both hands, and the extreme athleticism. Man, he's a high riser. He has a football background. Apparently, he was a stud on the Little League football fields in Leesburg, Virginia. And you can tell, when I'm watching that Sierra Canyon game last week, he's diving in a passing lane, gets a deflection that goes his way. He has a chase down block from behind, and then he has a steal, and I'm telling you, he scooped that ball, cuffed it, and threw it down mid-lane. And I went, man, this guy, he's all about winning. He's a guy that you watch the game once, and you notice how exciting he is with a couple of the highlights. You watch it again, and you see he does all the little things. He is everywhere, man.
He
what a
seems
winner.
to me to be like a floor general kind of guy, a perfect Duke kind of guy that fits in there, does everything very, very, very well. Really, like, fundamentally, but with the athleticism to make him dynamic.
Well, those are kind of the guys that you like to coach. You know, they have all the skills, all the talent, all the athletic ability, but they also work the hardest.
Yes.
They also implement everything that you're trying to instill in your team. And when you have your leader doing that, everybody else can't do anything but follow.
And that's a good segue because a Paul VI type program, there's so many guys who fill that leader role. And you hear it when you hear a guy like Trevor Keels take the mic and talk on ESPN. He talks about my teammates, talking about my team, talking about my, because they all have that sense of ownership, and every single one of them has earned it, and every single one of them is looked at as such and dependent on to be such. Trevor Keels, a junior, he's coming in to this season, going into next season, is probably one of the top 5, top 10 players in the country, if we're being honest. He's a big boy. He's super athletic, great smile, amazing, just an amazing teammate to hear it. Let's talk about Trevor Keels. Talk about the influence you have as a junior. When everyone knows you're the man and you're still only a junior.
Well, I think he's an alpha dog. He's an alpha dog for Paul VI. He's the guy that, even as a junior, he's the guy that makes them go. You know, he's the scorer. He's the guy that wants the ball in his hands. He's going to take over, and you are just sometimes a natural-born leader, and there's no doubt that that's what's going to make him one of the best players, if not at the very top of next season going into his senior season, because he just demands that kind of respect on the court.
He does. And you got to forget, you can't forget, guys, that last year with Jeremy Roach out, Trevor Keels was thrust into the limelight. He was coming off of his freshman year, and he was a sophomore. And what did he do? He was, what is it?
Trico.
However you call it, Trico Player of the Year in the WCAC. And I don't know when the last sophomore got that kind of recognition. He had a hell of a season, and he gained a lot from that experience. And now he's taking that on, and now his buddy is back, and they're just flowing like he's never left.
I think last year sometimes he even sort of surprised himself at some of the things that he was able to do. This year, it's like he knows he can do those things. He's got so much more confidence in the way that he plays.
Well, I'm going to say this, T. He's the type of guy that's heart rate goes down in crunch time. He is Mr. Clutch, and he came out and did that last year. First team All-Met, Trico Player of the Year, all WCAC as a 15-year-old. The young man was 15 years old for that season last year. If you're looking at him with that body of his, that body that he's been working hard on right there, and we've been hearing a lot about this, you have got to say to yourself, that's a 16-year-old kid you're about to take a look at tonight, and he certainly doesn't play that way. Plays like a grizzled NBA veteran. He's the guy that will have the ball in his hands at crunch time. Tonight, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the shot clock, and certainly at the end of the ball game.
And I'll tell you what, Trevor has been around high-level basketball since he was a young pup. He still is a young pup, but since he was very, he was in 6th or 7th grade, still around the EYBL circuit, and they kept him around it. He knows what it takes. He knows what he has, and he's just
he's like bad Leroy Brown. All the men call him Sir, because that's how he carries himself, and that's what he deserves.
He's a vet.
Let's talk a little bit about the cadet program. We're about to see a team. I don't want to say it was a surprise to see how good they were, how fast this season, because everyone's eyes are on PVI. Everyone's eyes are talking about the DeMatha program and the studs that they have there. And all of a sudden.
Don't forget Gonzaga.
Of course, Gonzaga and good counsel and all of it. But St. John's came out super strong. put themselves on the map regionally as one of the best teams in the D.C. area. Now they're being regarded, as well they should, as one of the best teams in the nation. Kevin, as an alumni, you open up that Washington Post and you see SJC with that kind of record and that kind of performance to date, and you got to be thinking to yourself that Pat Behan's got something going on.
He certainly does. Unfortunately, I opened up that Washington Post. There's no more box scores. I can't find nothing in there anymore. So I got to switch it up a little bit. But one thing I will tell you as an alumni, Coach Pat Behan has done a remarkable job losing 3 seniors off last year's team, a few transfers off of last year's team. Super young. We're talking 4 freshmen and 3 sophomores, 3 more seniors. It's a 10-man roster. What an incredible job on a national level Coach has done, getting these young guys to play together and getting the seniors, and we'll talk to him a little bit about this, in a role which they have got to be the big brother. There's 3 of them, guys. There's 7 other guys on the team that are freshmen and sophomores. These are the guys they're looking for. Seems like Coach picked the right 3 guys to put in the right 3 spots, and it's given them a ton of success this year. Incredible job by Coach Behan.
We talked about it in the basement when we were talking about how the manner in which the St. John's athletic program has been evolving over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. Hats off to Brian Griffin. We talked about that. We talked about the steps. And we talked about the WCAC might be on the verge of having a St. John's problem because of the kind of basketball players specifically that are starting to come here, and they've already started to come here. And we talk about a 3 senior-laden team with 7 freshmen and sophomores, and they're already doing so well in the D.C. area. Yeah. It's not hard to envision what's going to happen if they get just if they just get 1 or 2 or 3 more coming through. And we are going to go to Coach Behan. He's going to join us here, and we're going to let Kevin Ricka step around and talk to Pat.
Coach Behan, a veteran in the basement.
Oh yeah,
been on location.
Well, he's a lot taller than he looks, and he looks pretty tall. Go ahead, Kevin.
Coach, how you doing?
Excellent.
First of all, congratulations. An incredible start to this season. We just talked about you losing 3 seniors off last year's team, a handful of transfers. You got 3 seniors, 3 sophomores, and 4 freshmen. I mean, that's an incredible start to the season. Talk to me a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, very young, but we do have great leadership from 3 seniors-ish, Mikey, Manzi, so they've done a great job. It starts with them, and the young guys have kind of followed suit. And the only way we're going to have a chance is we do it together and we're disciplined. I think we've done a good job so far of that.
Absolutely. It reminds me a bit of our Washington Nationals. We had a chance to watch Game 6 together.
That's right.
And they brought home the World Series right back to D.C., and it seems like a bit of a same dynamic for you guys. Some wily veterans mixed in with the youth. And they came out with those rings. So.
Sure, yeah, and they went through plenty of battles and a lot of highs and lows, and we got a lot of season left. I'm sure we're going to have some peaks and valleys, but hopefully we can stick through it and be one together.
Absolutely. All right, Paul, the 6 Panthers coming to Gallagher Gymnasium today. It's my personal opinion, and I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I think this might be the best 5-guard dynamic in the nation. You count all 5 of the guys they have in the backcourt, I think it's right there at the top of all guards in the nation. How are you going to slow these guys down today, Coach?
No question. Well, we've put a premium on transition defense, so hopefully we were able to, instill that in the guys' minds. We played Friday night and just had a walkthrough yesterday, watched some film, and it's a major point of emphasis that we get back and make them try to score in the half court, so we'll see how we do.
Absolutely. I think 9 games in 14 days, a walkthrough was due.
Exactly, right.
My final question to you, we all lost what we refer to as our patron saint of basketball this past week. Coach Morgan Wooten, I just want you to do a little bit of explaining to me of any influence he may have had on your basketball coaching career.
Absolutely, and I tweeted about it, but again, words just can't really do justice. The impact that he's had, not just on coaches, but the community, brought everyone together and just elevated the level of play in this area where, it's unprecedented. DC is the best basketball in the country, and he's a large part of that.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck out there today and the rest of the season.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you joining us.
I'll dig out my basement for you.
Coach Behan, doing a great job.
We're gonna get it right. He's concussed.
Yeah, the basement has some shallow ceilings down there. Thanks, Coach.
We got to dig it out.
That's right. He took a header to the cross beam.
We are
down in the basement.
We're gonna close it. We're gonna close ourselves out here, guys. The JV game behind us is about to be finished, and we'll close out of the WCAC Spectacular. We'll be coming back live for the tip about 10 minutes before 5:30-ish tip.
There you go.
Ish,
a little foreshadowing.
We can't talk about this game and all these players and coaches without talking about the senior at St. John's who's been making it tick Really, not the one who's making us forget about Casey Morsell, but the one who's making us remember what kind of team Casey Morsell left, and really what influence he had and that's carried forward. Ish Leggett is absolutely living up to everything you want from a senior, first and foremost. He's being depended on by those 7 underclassmen. The coach is leaning on him. Ish Leggett showed up in the tournament last year. We talked about him. But where is he taking his game to the next level? Darren, where is he taking it to the next level?
In leadership. And he's always been a hard-working young man. I had the pleasure of coaching him in middle school at Landon before he came over here to St. John's, and I just knew that the cadets were getting a very fine young man, and a lot of people don't know he's a very good football player as well. He's a quarterback, so he's that kind of competitor. And he's Casey Morsell is gone, but it's the Ish Leggett show now, and he's been able to have these young guys follow in his footsteps and follow his path. And it's all hard work and dedication and attention to detail.
His personality and leadership, Darren, you nailed it. I think it's taken on the team has taken on his personality. He's an egregious, upbeat young man, and like you said, when you're senior leaders, your hardest worker. And then he does it on both ends of the court. Yeah, the points he's putting up in crunch time, he's the go-to guy, but he plays both sides. A two-way player. He won the Danny Defense Award down at the Myrtle Beach Classic. This guy is getting honors for everything he does on and off the court, and it's fun to watch him relish these last couple months of his senior year basketball here at St. John's.
What I loved about him most last year when he really rose to the occasion was he was the guy that did absolutely everything you needed. That doesn't necessarily show up in the stat book. You know, he's tipping a ball here. He's doing the extra effort there. But now he's going to take that and also be the main guy, you know, and that's what I think he has done to step up his game.
You're hearing a lot of buzz in the gym. The JV game is a 3-point game with 33 seconds. Paul the Sixth is at the line. Can we get a little bit of this, Luke? Let's get a little bit of this last little bit. We're going to go out on the WCAC Spectacular. These JV games are amazing exhibitions of basketball. There's very few players in the JV level around the nation.
The athleticism
going to get it done like this.
Ridiculous.
And we said we'd do it last year, and I think it's the right thing to do. 33 seconds left of this game. Let's just close it out here, guys.
Hey, and keep an eye on number 4 for St. John's, football playing Zabari Sandy's receiver and a D-back. He started today's game off with a vicious dunk and 2 threes. This does not look like JV basketball, folks.
We got a 3-point game, 68-65. 30 seconds to go. Paul the Sixth with the ball. And they're going to maintain possession down by 3 as Glenn Farello's up-and-comers.
And my boy, number 1, Niles Allberg in the game. I coached him at the Woods Academy. What a great young man. Nice. Play hard out there, Niles.
29.2 seconds, 3-point game, PVI to inbound. We're going to give you a little taste of what's to come in the WCAC. I tell you what, guys, we were here in this gym last year, and we watched DeMatha and St. John's play one of the best basketball games I've ever seen, and they were JV players.
Yeah, Ken, a lot of people think that the JV games are a time to come and get your seat and get in the gym early.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But you'll definitely get a great brand of basketball and the future of this conference. These are the guys that are going to keep it going.
1.5 seconds to go. It looks like St. John's is going to have this one locked up. And the place is packed already. And I know I speak for all you guys when I marvel at how great sophomores and freshmen play this game. Good gracious, it's unbelievable.
You see that on-ball defense by number 1? I don't know who taught him that, but that was vicious there in crunch time. Way to go, Niles.
All right, guys, we'll be back. Come back, First Amendment Sports. Give us a subscription. It's free. Smash that button. Check us out. We'll be back here in about 15, 20 minutes to bring you number 10 in the country, PVI, versus number 17 in the country, St. John's Cadets. On behalf of Darren McClinton, Tim Strachan, Kevin Ricca, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this is the WCAC Spectacular. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.